It's Monday night, and you know what that means. The Jersey First Television Network proudly brings to you the latest edition of Real Talk. And certainly, ladies and gentlemen, I am the generational talent in Garden State media, and certainly your hero that you need right now more than ever, as I'll continue to be really your trusted leader for trustworthy journalism here in the state of New Jersey. That's right, folks. It's me, Fernando Uribe. Happy Monday. Happy February to all of you. And I want to thank you all for making this a part of your Monday night viewing on this, the 2nd of February. And depends who you ask, folks. That little furry groundhog is telling us 6 more weeks of winter. Well, hope he's wrong, since we've had a pretty frigid winter thus far. Hopefully warmer days are ahead. But I do want to thank you all for tune in here tonight and making this a part of your Monday night viewing from wherever and however you might be tuning in, of course, on all of your social media platforms. If you haven't done so already, make sure you like us on Facebook. Of course, follow us on Instagram and X. And if you don't do so already, make sure you subscribe to Jersey First TV on YouTube. And also, whether you get your podcast on Spotify or SoundCloud, download Jersey First. All our episodes are there. You can take it with you, whether you're doing grocery shopping, walking your dog, whatever it is you're doing, folks. Again, even in these frigid temperatures, I'm pretty sure you have your smartphone or your tablet on you. Hey, make Jersey First a regular part of your viewing activities each and every day. And folks, I can't say it enough. What a privilege it is to be front and center representing Jersey First TV. Again, the leader in independent media here in the state of New Jersey, always educating and advocating for our residents here in the great state of New Jersey. Of course, folks, brand new episodes of Real Talk air every Monday night. Check your local listings, of course, for start times for, again, the best analysis and commentary about everything going on in New Jersey politics. Folks, it's always Real Talk right here with Jersey First TV. Folks, you want to stick around for final thoughts? I'm going to have a lot to say about what really was a very busy weekend with the news cycle, as we all know. But even before that, folks, January is come and gone here in 2026. And again, I have all of you to thank for these tremendous numbers, all organic, folks. So some of the haters out there, all you children that hate on Fernando Uribe, you might want to go to Walgreens and CVS and get a little ointment for that burn. Once again, folks, 95,000 plus views and counting, all organic, folks. Nothing's boosted here. I'm not vaccinated. I don't believe in boosters. So again, neither does this show. Tremendous traffic. I would all to you that make this a part of your Monday night viewing. And of course, share the replays on all of your social media platforms. Yeah, I'll brag a little bit later in the show, so you want to stick around for that. But folks, you definitely want to stick around for final thoughts. I'm going to have a lot to say about a very busy weekend, and take your pick, folks. Every clown here behind me, I'm sure, had something to say about what was going on in New Jersey, especially with ICE raids that were going on in Hudson County. Yes, folks, I got to tell you, I'm impressed. I got to hand it to the new mayor just 2 weeks in, whether it's a snowstorm or how to handle ice. I got to give it to Emily Jabor, the new mayor. And more importantly, folks, I got to give it to Joe Quintero. Este huevón trabajando on a Sunday, because let's be honest, folks. I mean, when we think about Joe Quintero expending any energy, I mean, let's be honest, folks, he's running for the liquor cabinet, trying to, get one of these. Okay, that's the only energy Joe Quintero is ever expending on a Sunday. Let's be honest. So the fact that he decided to, leave his house or run to the nearest liquor cabinet to go, I don't know, monitor ice or something is applaud for Joe Quintero, baby. Bro, you're making progress, bro. You're making progress. You're running away from the liquor cabinet and you're running towards ice. That's very courageous of you. So I got to give it to that. So I'll talk about what happened in Hoboken over the weekend, folks. And certainly, folks, it's a very easy lesson to learn about how to avoid ice. It's very simple. And for all the cat ladies and Karens and some of the useless bartenders in Hoboken and some of the virtue signalers, we all know who they are, right? Or even locals or classmates I went to school with, like these brain surgeons that somehow overcomplicate things. There's 3 very simple ways to avoid ice in New Jersey. Number 1, don't be here illegally. That's simple as that. Number 2, don't attack ICE officers. I don't think that's a good idea. As we all know, you F around, you're going to find out, as we all know. And of course, very simple, obey federal and state laws. That's not difficult, but for a lot of people in Hoboken, Jersey City, or the rest of New Jersey, it seems like this very easy mantra methodology goes in one ear and out the other. But more on that later during final thoughts. And I'll show you some footage, folks, of course, about this weekend's ICE activities in Hudson County. And of course, folks, during special comment, I do want to celebrate. It's been 1 year since the closing of the Jersey Journal, and good riddance, since it was under horrible management with, Uncle Ron Dellinger, who I hope is home. And I get it, being 98 years old when you're Ron Dellinger, I mean, you don't have much left. So I'm assuming you want to enjoy what's remaining of your life peacefully at home. But it's been 1 year since the Jersey Journal is closed, and good riddance to him. And speaking of good riddance, I also remember, ladies and gentlemen, I think about the Star Ledger and the print edition, of course, the editorial section, and which means, of course, it's been 1 year since the unemployment of Tommy Boy, Tom Moran. So stick around for a special comment, folks, as I'm going to have a lot to say about why these clowns continue to be useless even 1 year later. So you want to stick around for that, folks, definitely during a special comment. Folks, it is Monday night here, the 2nd of February. If you just joined us live, like, comment, and share tonight's episode. And let's talk about everything in New Jersey politics. And why not talk about not just what happened last election cycle, but really what we have to look forward to in this election cycle. And who better to talk about it with than the distinguished chairman of the Sussex County Republican Party. He's a big fan of the show and a patriot all on his own. Folks, he's Joe LaBarbera. Join us live right now on Real Talk. Joe, welcome.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me on, sir. Appreciate it.
Listen, my bad with the name. People mess up my name all the time. My apologies, Mr. Chairman. So I appreciate that.
Please, Joe.
I appreciate it. But Joe, Happy New Year. Good to see you on here, man. Certainly, and we talked a little bit before we went on here live, but November 2024 was a great time for me and you, of course, and we saw a great turnout of Republicans and independents coming out, which, let's be honest, Donald Trump came within 5 points of securing New Jersey's 14 electoral votes for the first time since George H.W. Bush in 1988, 1992, excuse me. And what was interesting was you thought, okay, well, we have some momentum going to 2025. The state is still very unaffordable. The gas tax went up again. Tolls went up again. We're just talking about 2025. And we thought, hey, after 8 years of Phil Murphy, it's going to be hard for a Democrat to run on a platform that supposedly claims to be affordable here in New Jersey. And sure enough, we thought, after a very testy primary, then U.S. Representative Mikey Sherrill came out of her primary. Jack Chiarelli came out of the Republican primary after, also a very testy primary season. And you thought, hey, we have the highest property tax in the country. We have the fourth highest gas tax in the country. Tolls go up again. Spending is getting fatter than Chris Christie on the budget side. And we said, maybe this is a year that a Republican can win back.
Wrong paradigm.
And again, a lot of variables went into it. But take us back to how you felt on election night last November. I know I was there in Bridgewater. I was very surprised, but not surprised at the same time. What were your thoughts some months later about how we look back on election night in November of 2025?
Well, the turnout was a surprise on the Democrat side. 350,000 more votes than was expected. Jack got 150,000 more votes than he did in 2021. So his side did perform as expected. The surprise was the Democrat turnout. Now, if you want to, I'll use a military analogy because of my background here. If you flip the map around, and they were always taught when you lead a mission, young officers in training, always flip the map around and look at it from the enemy's point of view. And I think that's what we failed to do. The enemy had shifted. What the apparatus that Murphy ran in an election machine was very different from the apparatus that Sherrill ran in an election machine. She had a much more sophisticated, much better funded, and much more nationally resourced election machine than Murphy did and Chiarelli did. So we're learning a lot about it right now. A lot's probably going to come out about it in time soon because a lot of information is floating out there that I got to, and it's going to be exciting to start talking about. But the Democrats had a multifaceted approach, and they were much better funded. And then the other thing is they targeted demographics that normally don't vote, and they were able to get them to turn out. Like you were saying, hey, taxes, all the things that are issues to Republicans, all the things that are issues to traditional independent New Jersey voters. Those aren't issues to young people renting apartments. Those aren't issues to, very wealthy white suburban housewives. They don't care about taxes because they're not property owners. They don't care about taxes because they're not paying them. So therefore, they can afford the luxury of adopting a lot of the superfluous and silly pseudo ideologies that the left pushes. Now, you also had a different thing happen too. You basically had a Bolshevik take over the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is no longer a Democratic Party. People are saying that nationwide. It is a far left party. It is a socialistic / communistic party. What's the difference? Well, the real difference between socialism and communism is socialism still allows for some private ownership, but limited private ownership. Communism takes over private ownership completely. Now, put that in the context of the New Jersey bureaucratic state. Show me appointees that aren't Democrats. Show me department heads in New Jersey that aren't Democrats. Show me anybody who's working anywhere in New Jersey, and show me vendors in any county that aren't Democrats or Democrat supporters. Mm-hmm. So what we've seen the Democrats do is over the past 20 years, literally take over every aspect of New Jersey government while we're part-time politicians. So we're dealing with a Republican cultural issue where we're the part-time warriors, and we're looking at it through a paradigm of the way we see the battlefield. And the Democrats have a full-time political army that's much better funded, and they have a drop on us by about 20 years.
No, listen, they certainly do. Folks, if you're just joining us live right now, it's a little after 5 p.m. here on the East Coast. Like, comment, and share tonight's episode here with the Sussex County Republican Party Chair, Joe LaBarbera. LaBarbera. Jesus.
LaBarbera's good. People call me LaBarbera.
My goodness, I got to get that right there.
Good.
He's our guest here tonight, folks. Again, helps the show grow. Takes 5 seconds to show support for Real Talk here on Jersey First TV. Joe, again, you nailed all the points beautifully. And I think also, too, I'll even add this part as well. I think it really, to some extent, Republicans, I would think, have been on the right side of issues in terms of messaging, but it just hasn't been really penetrating or resonating with certain demographics. And, it's alarming to me because, listen, we're always going to be fighting an uphill battle here in New Jersey because of the registration disadvantage. I know today, I think it was on Political NJ today, reported, and I was surprised to see Matt Friedman from Political New Jersey do any work today. That was surprising for me to see. But here's some numbers here. Apparently, Democrats lost 1,042 registered voters last month alone, while Republicans gained nearly 216.
Yeah.
But unaffiliated voters grew by 6,411. So essentially, Democrats have a 2.5 million vote advantage to the Republicans' 1.67 million. So that's about, and there's also about 2.3 million unaffiliated voters. Obviously, those can be independents, whatever else. But it's just interesting that, despite this uphill battle, Republicans, I keep saying, are on the right side of messaging. Again, to your point about, Democrats have controlled the legislature for over 20 years. Okay, George W. Bush was just starting his first term in office when Democrats started really having looked back about having a majority in the state legislature, both in the state assembly and in the state Senate. And yes, we've had Republican governors and Democrat governors come and go, but it's not conservatives like myself or you or others that are to blame for the affordability problem in New Jersey. We're not the ones that want to raise a tax on everything.
No, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because
we're not the ones looking to coddle illegals in the tens of billions of dollars at our expense here. So it's interesting to me that the only thing I can attribute to is that there's just an abundance of low information voters that just go with either I hate Trump and I don't care that my taxes are high. I don't care that the gas tax is high. I just hate Trump, and that's my way to show them. And that's just so myopic politically. But it seems like that's a lot of the vote blue, no matter who crowd. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, but I would still say that they're actually, I would call them a minority based on just my own speculation. What I believe has happened, because here's what you got to take into account. Cheryl got 350,000 more votes. Jack still got 150,000 more votes in 2021. Where did those votes come from? All on anger based on Trump and ICE, all anger based on some national issue. I call complete bull on that. The ability of the Democrat machine to call in their markers, workers who owe Democrat Party bosses favors, bureaucrats who encourage their offices to vote a certain way, businesses that are beholden to Democrats getting them contracts and getting them with counties and municipal governments. When you look at how tied in the Democrat Party is to the economic apparatus of internal New Jersey, all they have to do is switch it on. I don't think you saw that in the election of 2021, but you saw it in the election of 2024. I think Cheryl and her campaign team was able to switch it on because of the fear. They were honestly afraid what the Republicans were going to do if they won. And they were able to go to Democrat mayors, Democrat county commissioners, Democrat people in office, Democrat department heads, and they were able to say, get your vote out or else. And that worked because, Roman history, what did Cicero say? Panem et circum, bread and circuses. People got to eat and people got to be entertained. The Democrats have been offering that to people. So I don't believe the ideological slant was the cause as much as the Democrats want to say that. I think they're so tied into the appointment at the deep state of New Jersey, all the appointees, and so tied into the municipal and government contracts that run New Jersey. I mean, in my own county, many of my vendors, we're as Republican a county as you can get. Many of my county vendors are Democrat donors, and they don't donate to the Republican Party, but they're in a Republican county. Why is that? They're afraid of the Democrats. They're not afraid of us. So the Democrats weaponize economic benefits. They weaponize those. And until we start playing that ball game, we're going to keep losing.
We'll get back to sort of election autopsy in a minute, but you bring up Sussex County, and I'm kind of curious because, a lot of Democrat operatives that talk to me off the record, obviously they don't want me to blow up our friendship because obviously they might lose vendors too, as they say. But the bottom line is a lot of people up in Bergen and Morris and keep telling me, even Sussex is like, whoa, Fernando, be careful that even a reliably red county that Sussex is, I mean, it's as red as my shirt, Joe. There are some parts turning purple, I think people are alleging, and some Democrat operatives are like, hey, we're making some headway in parts of Sussex as the county chair for the Republican Party in Sussex County. What's fact and fiction there?
Well, fact is we're 24 towns Republican. That's fact. Fact is they picked up 2 municipal seats by the skin of their teeth. And one of them was because we didn't have somebody to run in that town. There was a headwind that the Democrats had, which was statewide. And the key is they're going to do that momentum. We still won handily. We still won in most cases almost 2-1 or 1.5, 1.7 to 1. So every county experienced a rise in Democrat voting this in November 2025. Every county experienced it. But I think Sussex took it probably the best, maybe right around there with Ocean. We basically took the gut punch the best. And we were able to take back our big town of Sparta. Our Sparta now is a Republican council. We still got 2 Democrats left on it. So, I mean, when I became chairman, we were 21, arguably 22 out of 24 counties Republican. Now we're 24 out of 24 counties Republican. So, I'm confident that, never interrupt the enemy while they're making a mistake. The pendulum swings back more and more, and the key is to keep the pendulum sweeping back in another way. And despite how much money is getting thrown at the Dems because they outraise us like crazy, basically. So that our adversaries in Sussex, they just get one big fat donation from one business every year. We got to bust our ass to raise money. And the Democrats, as you know, are a lot more generous with their donations than Republicans are. Sure. Democrats have a full-time political operation. We don't. We don't have a full-time political operation. We're all doing this for free and we're all part-time. They have full-time operatives. They give their operatives jobs, and their jobs are basically a wash. And they're basically, their job is to be an operative for the Democrat Party, right? They do that. We don't. So as a result, they can get a lot of momentum that way. However, it's going to be hard for them to change Sussex as is because their tricks have failed. So the tricks they do to win in a conservative area is divide and conquer. They get a Republican who's either gullible or fake, and then they get that rhino or that moron to try to primary or screw with the good Republicans. That's the first trick they do. The second trick they do is they capitalize and they sensationalize a particular event or a particular happening, and they always throw out corruption. They always throw out that it's going to destroy the environment. They always throw out this hysteria, and then they get the town all wound up, and the town will go against their Republican leaders. You can only pull that crap 2 or 3 times. So right now they're trying to pull it in one town. They pulled it in Sparta. That's how they got control of Sparta. And then the people woke up and said, "What did we do?" And the people are chasing them out now. So it's little by little they'll keep stepping on their you know whats, because in the end, Sussex County is more valuable to them as a Republican county in the way we are, because if we became a county that projected Republican power out and this county became angry, we'd be a real problem. So there's kind of like a detente going on. You have Gottheimer in CD5. He doesn't want to see Republicans trying to primary him and start with him. You have the Senate races, they don't want to see a rising come out of Sussex. So I don't think they're going to encourage the Democrats in Sussex to be too aggressive.
All right, listen, you're doing good work over there. It shows, obviously, with the numbers there, and obviously, I think a lot of county chairs could, take lesson there when it comes to what's going on there. Obviously, I mean, if we're calling balls and strikes fairly, it's a little easier. Maybe in your county, it is, let's say, in Hudson, right, or Bergen. But you're doing the work, and there's no question. You're doing the work. You're rolling up your sleeves. You're cutting your teeth in there, and you're getting results. So I mean, there's no question about that.
Mm-hmm.
Getting back to the state of the party now today in 2026, Joe. Obviously, in the days since then, I mean, obviously we've had somewhat autopsies, whatever you want to call them. I know state assembly Republicans, what's left of them, gathered last week in a legislative dinner only type of room, whatever. But in the weeks since last November, obviously there have been some Republicans who've been very loud and emphatic statewide, whether it's State Senator John Bramnick, whether it's radio host Bill Spadea, coincidentally, two candidates in the primary last year against Jack Ciattarelli, who've been going around to any microphone possible saying, well, I told you so, told you so, told you so. And it seems that it depends on which Republicans I talk to statewide. Some might say, well, in 2021, with a very unpopular Joe Biden and kind of distancing himself from the 45th president, Jack Ciattarelli came within 3 points of unseating Phil Murphy. Fast forward 4 years later, a full embrace of Donald Trump, the 47th president. It turns out that maybe that turnout wasn't as good for him. I mean, it's hard to Monday morning quarterback this, but what do you want to say to those Republicans out there that, quite frankly, look at someone like Jack or look at establishment Republicans and say, you know what, you got it wrong again, and maybe these operatives should never get work again. Maybe Jack's had his time. But, what do you want to say to people like Bill Spadea and John Bramnick and others that are like, you know what, we told you so, and now look at the ruins that we have to live with? What do you want to say to them today?
I know all those guys, and I got to tell you, they all mean well, and they're all incredibly competent, and they all have done a lot of good. But what I want to say is, though, I disagree with that paradigm. I disagree with that outlook. I don't think the outlook is about I don't believe it was a national level issue. I believe this was an issue because the Democrats animated their mayors, they animated their county commissioners, they animated their appointment holders, and they used those mechanisms to bring out votes. That's how I believe this happened. And they did it almost entirely with mail-in. And this wasn't an election that was won on the because of national level influences. This was an election won because the Sherrill campaign was able to pull the levers in all the different localities much more effectively. And it wasn't so much that the Ciattarelli campaign wasn't doing the job they needed to do. The guy worked his ass off and campaigned his ass off. There's no doubt about that. And his message was effective, as we talked about before. The issue is, how many appointees can go out and tell their departments and influence things for the Republicans? How many county commissioners were out there pushing for Ciattarelli? How many people at the local level were truly pushing for Ciattarelli? And that's the problem. I think that a lot of these people at the local levels, a lot of these local leaders, they saw that if Ciattarelli lost, they would be in trouble with the Democrats. So I think you saw a half-hearted attempt. So this way they wouldn't make enemies with a lot of Democrats they're tied into, which is our number one flaw. If you look at the two flaws of the New Jersey Republican community, actually, I would say there's three. There's three tragic flaws in the New Jersey Republican community. The first is we eat our young. We eat our young. It's ridiculous how we fight each other harder, because it's easy. It's easy to fight another Republican, but it's hard to fight a Democrat. So the more we got people that like to fight Republicans to get their name out there, and they're pathetic. Second, the other big flaw that we have in the New Jersey Republican Party is we don't understand how the mechanisms of the New Jersey government work. We're all about the message, and we're all about the ideology. People want to eat. People want good jobs. People want to have success. And when you have a large portion of people that don't have the same interest of New Jersey Republicans because they're not property owners or they're not invested in the things New Jersey Republicans are, and they're not rural-oriented people, they don't like the outdoors, they're not about gun rights, they're not about religious faith, then you can't expect them to vote based on our ideology. And then finally, it's our culture. We have a culture of campaigning part-time. We believe we only act in election when it's, okay, what election's up? The one in front of us. That's what we worry about. Fernando, in 2027, every legislator's seat is up.
That's right.
2027. We could theoretically flip the legislature in 2027. I feel like me and maybe a few other chairs are the only ones who are thinking about 2027. No. We just got to worry about what's happening right now. Well, the Democrats are already worried about 2029. They're already talking about who they're going to replace Cheryl with when she runs for president. Yeah. So when they're thinking strategically, and we're worried about what's right in front of our nose. So in the essence, they're the fucking, excuse my language, they're the real army. They're the freaking Delta Force, and we're like the little Iraqi militia here.
I really do. I like that comparison. I really do like that. Folks, if you just joined us live right now, it's 5:25 on the East Coast here. My guest tonight is the distinguished chairman of the Sussex County Republican Party, Joseph LaBarbera, and he joins us live here. Folks, drop a question there or a comment in the comments section there. Again, like, comment, and share. It really helps the show grow, and it really helps show your support for fearless independent media, which is right here, Real Talk with Jersey First TV. Joe, I'm glad you brought up, obviously, looking long term. I'm a big chess player. I like looking 3 or 4 moves down ahead, as they say.
Yeah, we don't do that in the Republican Party.
Yeah, no, and it's interesting. Obviously, you're a county chair. Mm-hmm. It was just a reorg of county committee people statewide to elect a new state Republican Party chair. And again, shout out to former Monmouth County clerk, Christine Hanlon.
Congratulations.
A special program. Folks, the chairwoman will be on with me coming up in March. So you want to stay tuned for that interview. I think you definitely don't want to miss out on that. But she's got a tough job ahead of her, man, because again, like here in New Jersey, unfortunately, like you said, there's no rest for the weary. There's an election literally every year. It's not even like there's an off season. Like, when we think about sports, the Super Bowl is this Sunday, and then there's the off season until the NFL returns in September. No. There's elections all the time. Mm-hmm. And here in New Jersey, especially without a county line now, what we're seeing obviously is competitive races for not just county commissioner seats. We're seeing it here in Hudson County. There's a U.S. Senate seat up for grabs. I mean, Spartacus with the $20 million at hand already, obviously, is trying to do all the things to make it, try to have him win re-election and then make him more attractive candidate for 2080. He got married, which no one's buying. I mean, that's about as believable as the Mets winning a World Series. Please. But the point is that it's almost like a thankless job for Christine because there's no rest there. She's got to start thinking about putting candidates out there for county commissioner seats, obviously who to put up, during this primary season. Ultimately, they can maybe be a little bit of a fight against Cory Booker. And not just only that, but all these House races. Last week, I just had Hillary Herzig, who's running as a Republican in the 6th Congressional District. And the best of my knowledge, I think she's running unopposed. So she very likely will be challenging Mr. Corporate Donor money, Frank Pallone himself in CD6. But it seems like the chairwoman has got a lot of work to do in a short amount of time since the primary is coming up in June.
Yeah. Oh, and then we're going right into 2027 where we literally have the opportunity to flip the legislature if we prepare correctly. But I don't personally believe that the New Jersey Republican community is in a position to accomplish great things as of now. We need to rebuild. We need a Valley Forge. I'll give a historical analysis. We need a Valley Forge. Okay, we need a place to go refit. We need a safe place to refit. I don't think we have a General Washington right now. We're going to need a General Washington. And then what we're going to need is we're going to need a Marquis de Lafayette. We're going to need the French to come save our asses. So we need the rest of the country to come in and back us. We need to make a sale. We need to make a good sell to Washington and the rest of the Republican Party nationwide. We got 14 electoral votes, and we got a $700 billion GDP. We cannot lose this for Republican America because America is a Republican nation. What the left is offering us is not America. We're in a fight for the soul of our country. New Jersey can be flipped. It can be flipped if we have the right leadership and the right resources. We're a small fledgling army at this point. We can win little races here and there and say we're winning. When I became chair, it's like, oh yeah, we always win. But we're not going to mess with the nonpartisan, the Faulkner Act towns because it's bipartisan. I call bullshit on that, and I don't recognize bipartisan. I don't care if you're neutral. I'm invading you, and we're going to make you a Republican town. But as long as we keep playing by the Democrats' rules, and as long as they have all these resources, if we don't bring resources in, and if we don't find a way to take out a big name seat We need a crossing of the Delaware, and we need a battle of Trenton is what we need. So if we can put that together, we can take a Senate seat or flip, I'd say 7 or 8 assembly seats in 2027. I think we can put ourselves back on the map again. Right now, the collective mentality is, we got to defend CD7 and we got to try not to lose any seats. So we're fighting a defensive war against an enemy that is going to take the pipe to us. And no amount of negotiating and dealing with the Dems, like Churchill said, you can't negotiate with a tiger when your head is in his mouth. The Dems are going to take the pipe to us.
That's a great quote. That's a great quote. I like that.
They're seeing MAGA as evil. They're talking about prosecuting us if Trump ever gets out of office. We're fighting for our lives here. No Republican's going to be safe. So when you have Republicans out there, I'm safe because I got Democrat friends, or I'm safe because I'm in business with the Democrats. No, you're not. No, you're not. The Bolsheviks taking over the party, and they will execute you. And if you're not able to mobilize now, it's going to come. So, like I said, we need a Washington. Right. And a party chair can't be a Washington. A party chair can be like maybe a second or tertiary officer. You need somebody who's able to, a big name, self-funded person to say, I'm going to run for U.S. Senate and make it, or I'm going to run for Congress and beat a big name Dem. And that's the first thing we got to do. And the second thing is we got to get the nation mobilized to take back New Jersey. And I think there's a good case for it, because we're such a rich target of opportunity here, economically and politically. 14 electoral votes, $700 million GDP. I mean, and the rest of America wants to turn its nose at it and say, it's a blue state. And that's crazy. That's crazy. They should be fighting to take back New Jersey.
Well, listen, all fair points. And, it just reminds me, because at the national level, it seems like the national GOP looks at New Jersey and looks at certain races and doesn't feel as invested. I mean, listen, case in point, in 2024, in the 9th Congressional District, Nellie Poe, who, I mean, is just an awful candidate. Mm-hmm. I mean, Billy Prempeh, who took it to, Bill Pascrell for a couple cycles. And let's be honest, if the national GOP even put in at least $1 million into that race,
I know
Billy would have won. He only lost by
national. We have wealthy people in the New Jersey Republican Party that could have backed him.
Yeah, and it's alarming, because now what we're seeing, and moving into 2026, for example, in that same congressional district, we're seeing the wife of former New York Giants star and LaBarbera, his wife.
She's a good candidate
running in that primary. Listen, she's wealthy. Mm-hmm. I think it's fair to say that because of her husband, I think she's going to be able to convince her husband to reach out to former teammates with money, right? Former Giants or Jets in New Jersey, or former NFL players in general live in New Jersey. That could maybe donate to that campaign and maybe give Nellie Poe a little bit of a headache in the 9th Congressional District. Yeah. We have other Republicans. Listen, next week, I have Joe Hathaway on this show. Joe Hathaway is a guy that many are looking at as like, hey, he's a Republican that whoever wins in this cluster F of this special election season in CD11 of what's going on right now, obviously with, by the way, a full week of early voting, Jesus Christ. Don't even get me started on that bullshit. But the point is that, obviously there's a primary now, there'll be a special election in April. And then sure enough, whoever wins that in April may still face a primary challenge in June. So regardless of that, Joe Hathaway is the only Republican declared in CD11. He's a bright guy, very energetic mayor. He's a guy that, could make that seat vulnerable for Democrats coming up later this year. But I think it takes a certain type of energy level, Joe, and messaging, which kind of brings me to my next point here, because, the president will obviously be term limited coming up in 2028. He will not be running again, despite whatever, good theatrics we see, right? It's very likely that the sitting vice president, J.D. Vance, will be running in 2028.
Or Marco Rubio. I think that, it'd be interesting if they sort of bypass the sitting vice president for Rubio, but who knows? But the point is that it just seems like Democrats in New Jersey can only go to the well so often with, well, we just hate Trump, we hate Trump, and our life sucks because of Trump, which it doesn't. Like, the highest property taxes in the country aren't because of Donald Trump. It's because of irresponsible legislators, especially listen, for a lot of years, it was Steve Sweeney, the Senate president. For a lot of years, it was Vinnie Prieto, the Assembly Speaker. Now it's Craig Coughlin. Now it's Nick Scutari. The bottom line is that it just seems like Republicans moving forward have to give, I think, the national GOP a reason to want to come here. Again, like I said,
Billy Prempeh lost by 1.5 percentage points in
Yeah.
24 to an awful candidate in Nelly Poe. Okay. Listen, I'm all about, I just want the best candidate. I don't care about this DEI nonsense of, well, we have to have the first Latino here and the Latina there. Like, I just want good candidates. Nelly Poe is not a good candidate.
Oh, she's a disaster. She's a typical left-wing disaster.
Yeah, she's a typical Latina. And I can say that being Hispanic, but
the Democrats will come out and support her without any problems.
Sure, absolutely.
Whereas we will challenge and undermine our own. Yeah. Our primaries are so vicious. I don't know how the hell anybody can freaking move on after them. Our primaries are personal, nasty. They come after each other. We go after each other worse than we go to the Democrats.
Well, listen. I mean, I'll let you finish your point. We saw that last spring. I mean, between Ed Durr, again, nice guy. He's been on the show. I've interviewed him. John Bramnick, been on this show. I've interviewed him. Bill Spadia, Jack as well. I've interviewed all four guys. Listen, the Democrat side was pretty vicious, but the Republican side, listen, I went to Rider University for the first debate. That, by the way, shout out to David Wassey and the New Jersey Globe and the great staff that put up the debate.
I was there too.
I went to that, and I went to, I believe, the other primary debate too, and it was vicious. And I said, okay, the night that Jack won the primary, I said, okay, Republicans, listen, stop with the being petty and tribal.
Yeah, no.
Jack checks off enough boxes, and if you want New Jersey to be more affordable, then voting red is the way. And and it was weird. All summer, Joe, I felt good. Labor Day, I felt good. Even after the first debate, which I was at Rider University for, I felt really good. And then something happened between the government shutdown, the optic about SNAP, all the other bullshit that the establishment media in New Jersey was complicit in, institutions like academia, whatever, were very complicit in helping Cheryl get across the finish line. And it just reminds me that Republicans can be tribal and petty, and it costs them elections. Is that a fair synopsis by me?
Oh, it's 100% fair. And I everywhere I've seen very vicious Republican at each other's throats, the Democrats are usually involved. They're very good at turning us against each other. And it's gotten to the point now where I'm almost want to tune out or reject any Republican that publicly undermines or just tries to destroy another Republican. And then you have Republicans that actually work with Democrats to screw other Republicans. So you have two Republicans in a race. All right, have it out. Iron sharpens iron. Be tough. But then one Republican will run to the Democrat and try to get the Democrats to support them against that Republican. That's a cardinal sin. That is a cardinal sin. And until we have the intestinal fortitude to crush that, until we have the intestinal fortitude to fight that, we're going to be lagging behind on a lot of things. And your point about the way you saw that shift was evident. That shift happened simultaneously and coordinated, and it happened specifically in municipalities, and it was specifically led by Democrat mayors. And they basically did a very, very passionate get out to vote drive, which was not done for Phil Murphy. Now, there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one was fear. They were truly afraid that if Ciattarelli got New Jersey, that would mean that the Justice Department would come after them and Trump would turn on it and would go after them because, Trump has taken a much harder line. And then the other aspect of it is control. I mean, they knew that a Republican governor meant that they would lose a lot of contracts and a lot of efforts. There was no reach out to the Democrats, I think, on any Republican side that said, hey, you guys can still keep some of your pie. That didn't happen. It's like, we're taking over and we're going to take your freaking pie. And at that point, every Democrat in every municipality knew that their vendor contracts and their business associates and all the things that make them eat well would probably go away. So one of the ways you beat the Democrats in New Jersey is make a good portion of them understand that they're still going to eat and they're not going to be purged when they all think they're going to go down, which is the spot we're going to be in. The next election's coming up. We're in the spot is we're going to be utterly destroyed. They're going to come after our work. They're going to come after our families. They're going to indict us. They're going to do everything they can to destroy us because we're basically at the point of almost a sectarian conflict at this point. So if you when you surround an enemy objective, right? Let's say you're in combat and this is actual doctrine and you have an enemy objective surrounded. You always let them think they have a way out. You never let them know the objective's isolated because then they're going to fight to the death. Now, once they run out and once they get their way out, then you start nailing them. But never let the enemy think he doesn't have a way out. And I think what we saw in 2025 is the enemy knew they didn't have a way out. So they animated themselves. And then the big Democrat party, the DNC, based on all their traffic in what they were saying, is that oh my God, we're going to lose New Jersey. 14 electoral votes and a $700 GDP, $700 billion GDP. And our side didn't say that. We have an RNC that it reflects the culture that we have here in New Jersey. They're part-timers, and they're also integrated with Democrats in business. So as long as we're eating from the same pie, we're going to keep having these problems.
And that's a big concern going into the midterms this year, because obviously, while New Jersey's congressional delegation is predominantly Democrat, there's only 3 Republican seats. Mm-hmm. It seems, to your point before, it seems like, again, it wouldn't shock me if the NJGOP is only concerned with making sure that we can, preserve Tom Kean, Chris Smith, and certainly Jeff Van Drew. And, Democrats have 9 other seats. Oh, well. But there's a real chance, again, if they were able to raise some money. Again, we have great candidates. Again, look no further. Last week, Hillary Herzig in the 6th Congressional District. Coming up next week, when I talked to Joe Hathaway is a good middle of the road, I think, Republican that could win in CD 11. I think, obviously, we'll see where the economy is and everything else, but he's a guy that is young and energetic. And listen,
this is what you're thinking. You're thinking like a Republican. You're You're like, okay, he's a great guy. He should be the guy we elect. That's not how Democrats think.
No, I agree with you. And I think, listen, a lot has to happen between now and the next few weeks, obviously, with the special election. Yeah. But, if it's somebody like an Analilia Mejia, who's crazy progressive, I mean, we're talking about full-blown leftist, socialist, who embraces Bernie Sanders, AOC, and stuff like that, then that's somewhere where Joe Hathaway, I think, has a really good path. If it's someone like a Malinowski or a Brendan Gill, establishment Dems, that could be a little more difficult. Not because I'm not optimistic, but I think it could be a little bit problematic. Malinowski can raise money, Gill can raise money. Not to say that Hathaway can't raise money. He can, and he's doing that. But I would argue that, again, that's a seat that's winnable. CD9, as I said, whether it's Plaxico Burris' wife or other Republicans that run, Nellie Poe's really vulnerable. For example, Lamarca MacGyver, she should be in jail. I'm hoping she's in jail by sometime this summer for shoving a federal agent, for goodness sake.
These are all Republican paradigms, because this is what's going to happen. And here's how Tom Kean won CD7 last time a lot because of Sussex County. He was losing on election night until Sussex County votes came in. And the reason he did better in Sussex County than he ever did before with our GOP that's in place right now. And the way we did it was I got all the mayors in a room with them. That was the key. So if you have mayors and you have county commissioners and you have heads of like the waste management and heads of unions, the people who run the nuts and bolts of society, if they're not pushing for that candidate, look, you could have a candidate that's completely catatonic. Look at Joe Biden. It isn't about how good and this is the Republican paradigm. The Republican paradigm is, I want a heroic figure. I want to have a figure I can believe in, like he's Christ off the cross. Remember, that was the arguments against Jack. Well, he's not perfect. He did this. He did that. You want a perfectly principled, Christ-like individual. Well, that person doesn't exist. And once you get into politics, every little flaw you have is going to be blown against you. George Washington himself was disparaged. Lincoln, I mean, are the greatest Americans. If you go back in time and look at what was said about him in the press, horrible things. So you're never going to find a Christ off the cross. But the way to win politically, especially in New Jersey, is you work the levers of power. If you don't work the levers of power, you're not going to have a candidate win. It doesn't matter how great they are. And until we learn that as Republicans, until we start putting pressure on the levers of power, then we're just going to keep, enjoying losing.
All fair points there. Folks, again, if you just joined us live right now, it's 5:40 here on the East Coast. My guest tonight is the distinguished chairman of the Sussex County Republican Party, the great Joe LaBarbera here. Join us live. Folks, again, like, comment, and share. Tonight's episode really helps the show grow and show your support for fearless independent media. Joe, obviously, whether it's a U.S. Senate seat up for grabs, all 12 House seats in New Jersey, we have a lot of county commissioner seats. Another thing that was very interesting in terms of anomaly as well last election cycle was seeing some reliably Republican towns. Now, again, obviously, Parsippany is not Sussex County, but we saw towns like Parsippany flipping and others throughout New Jersey. Again, I hate to sort of put all of the focus and pressure on the new chairwoman, Christine Hanlon, but a lot of work to do,
Mhm.
a lot of work for the county chairs.
Right.
Obviously, listen, you have a great model that works in Sussex County.
Yeah.
If you, at the next reconvening of county chairs, what do you want to tell the state chair and your fellow county chairs? Listen, you've outlined a great blueprint that works in Sussex County, but for other parts of New Jersey where, listen, it's as blue as Windex here, so maybe Hudson's a bad
Mhm.
example, but other towns, excuse me, other counties that maybe are purple-ish,
Yeah, yeah.
what's realistic in 2026 and, as you mentioned, into 2027, where every seat in the legislature is up for grabs, and that's going to be Mikey Sherrill's midterm election. We'll see what condition the state is in, but what do you want to tell your county chairs right now about what's the best course of action to really get a
Great
better
question.
message out for 27?
It's a great question, and I wrote a book about it. It's called "The Path to Freedom and Prosperity in New Jersey," and the key is the appointees. So right now we have to buy. We're an insurgency. We're the underdog. We're fighting the big dog, and the big dog's kicking our ass. We got to put time and space between us and the beating we're taking. The way to put that time and space between us and the beating and we're taking is we make it very hard for the Democrat appointees to operate. We go after their appointees. That's what they do to us. When the Democrats come after us in Sussex, they attack the people we appoint. So their appointees are the problem. When their appointees aren't qualified, when their appointees are politicized, when their appointees act out, we need to demand their resignations and make it hard for their appointees. The appointees are there because powerful people tell the politicians to appoint them. So now those people are going to say, why are you hurting my appointees? Why are you hurting my people? And then we say, look, you guys need to call off your attack in these particular districts, and we'll accept that you're going to fight it out in those particular districts. So we buy space and time by going on the offensive against their appointees, using legality, using complaints, Oprah request petitions, all that annoying stuff that they do to us. We got to do it to their appointees as well. That buys us the space and time to tell their political leaders to back off certain areas. And then we then start taking ground little by little in certain spots. And it has to be done very strategic and very targeted. Is that going to happen? It all depends on the county, and it all depends on the ability of that particular chairman to make that happen.
Joe, obviously you're doing a great job in Sussex. The results show that. It kind of begs the question, is there perhaps the pursuit of higher office for Joe LaBarbera in the near distant future, whether it's in 27 for a state Senate seat, perhaps, or something more?
I appreciate that.
What do you want to tell us tonight?
No, that's very flattering. I appreciate that, but I'm not polished enough, and I'm not astute. I'm not gregarious enough. I know what I'm good at. I'm good at party operations, but I'm not. What I'm not good at is I'm not gregarious. I think to be an effective politician, you have to really love being around people and get energized and charged. I don't get energized and charged from big groups, so I don't think I'd be good at it, honestly. I don't, but I got plenty of good office holders. I probably got some of the best people in my legislative district in the state. I got Mike and Ganamore, I got Parker Space, and I got Dawn Fantasia. You can't ask for more as a party chair to have such conservative Republicans voting. So, I mean, when you have that dream team, they always vote great. They always vote in line with the platform. They always push the issues, and they do everything they can to take care of my district and my county. So, I mean, we're pretty much set here. You know, we have a good stable of county commissioners. We got a really good shelf. And our municipalities, like I said, we're 24 out of 24. I only got, I think, 3 or 4 Democrats I really have to move out. Even the 2 seats that they won in this last little rising they had, all they're going to be is nuisance seats. They're, like I said, both of them are far left political zealots. And what happens in Sussex is whenever we have in these bipartisan areas, whenever we have someone like a Democrat get a seat, it's usually under the smoke of a bad Republican candidate and a lot of chaos that's going on. And then they can't help themselves. Like the Sparta guy, we have a guy in Sparta right now. He's a disaster. And they voted him in because he convinced everybody he was bipartisan. Now he's gone completely to the left. He was even on YouTube screaming and yelling at people over a vigil for Charlie Clerk. I mean, he's really...
that's awful. Come on.
Yeah, well, they put him in just because over a warehouse issue. So he got on there saying, I'm going to stop the warehouse. The warehouse was already zoned. It was already legal. So he's not stopping it. He got the town sued for $100 million. And now they're going to settle. And if they didn't settle, then they probably wouldn't be able to have their attorneys pay for it, their insurance company covered. So that town's a disaster. And the town of Sparta realized so many people from Sparta have told me we were asleep. We were asleep. We got conned. I'm like, hey, I can't say I didn't tell you, but I wasn't the chair then. Now I'm the chair. I would bring down a lot of pain on that guy if I was around now. So, and we've done a mailer against him, but I don't have to do anything now. And this is what the Dems. Here's where I'll make you happy. The left always overreaches. They always overreach.
They do, yeah. That's right.
So I mean, the average American is very happy. They're very content, and they don't really pay attention, like you said, the low information voter. And then, boom, a leftist gets in, and they freak the hell out. And then that's when you have the pendulum switch back.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said there. And by the way, you mentioned a name there. Shout out to Dawn Fantasia. I know she's a big fan of the show. Love her. I'm looking to have her on later on this spring, so stay tuned, folks. Great legislator.
Community leader. When I first moved to my place in Stillwater, the power went out and I didn't have a generator. And I was staying up all night stoking my wood stove because I had my kids were babies at the time. And I called up a random commissioner. I just saw her name. I'm like, hey, I need help. And she got the power company to come get my power on, so I could keep my kids warm. I mean, you don't forget stuff like that.
Definitely a great legislator for sure. So it sort of begs the question. I mean, you mentioned about, again, sort of looking ahead as a chess player, 4 or 5 moves ahead. We have to start thinking about elections in the future. I think it's fair to say, Joe, and I'm not trying to pile on here, but Jack's time has come and gone. We need to sort of move forward with other new blood in the party. It sort of begs the question here. It almost feels like we're on a, like ESPN NFL Game Day or MLB at night or, the NBA pre-show. We have to start thinking about, what's the new blood coming up?
Yes.
What's the next new talent? And I would argue, I'll throw some names out there and you tell me what you think. Obviously, sure. I think of State Senator Michael Testa down in South Jersey.
Phenomenal choice. If he doesn't go into Congress or do something great in an appointed position in the government someday, I could definitely see him as governor of this state. Absolutely.
Yeah, I would argue Mike Testa. Yeah. I would argue, again, to your point up in your neck of the woods, Dawn Fantasia, as well as Jay Weber. I think there's new blood that's necessary. Obviously, I just had Assemblyman Krista Phillips on a few weeks back. He's great in Bergen County. Where do you see, am I missing a name maybe that we're not talking about in the sense of maybe the new blood or the next star within the state Republican circles that quite frankly can maybe, move us into 2027, can start planting the seeds for 29? Who do you see right now as somebody that quite frankly could really rattle the cages in Republican circles in New Jersey?
Yes, so we have the talent. We definitely have the talent and we definitely have the intellectual capital. Whether it's Senator Testa, Senator Steinhardt, Assemblyman Ganamort, Assemblywoman Fantasia, I could be listing here forever. We got the talent, we got the capability of getting somebody who could be a phenomenal governor for New Jersey. The key is going to be who is going to be able to be that George Washington and rally outside funding to come in, and who is going to be able to pull the levers of power within the state. And one of the keys they're going to have to do is unite the chairs of the state. They're going to have to get the chairs behind them, and they're going to have to get the chairs of the state all acting in unison and not factionalized. Because right now, this state, we're factionalized. All these chairs, they all got their person, and if you're not this guy or that guy, if you're not pushing for this guy, and that has to stop. That has to stop. We got to become one party instead of a non-contiguous we're like a bunch of warring Scottish clans back in the 18th century. And we're just waiting for the English to come in and kick our asses.
That's a really good comparison. I appreciate that. Folks, again, if you just joined us live right now, it's 5:50 here on the East Coast. We're about to wrap up right now with Sussex County Republican Party Chair, Joe LaBarbera, here on Real Talk. I got it right finally after about 50 minutes in. My goodness.
Well, a lot of people say LaBarbera too. It's okay.
Yeah. But Joe, again, great stuff here. Quick lightning round before we close up shop here, as they say here on the show. Yeah. We've gotten to know Joe, the county chair, Joe, the advocate, as I can see, Joe, the student of history. So I like that very much. Quick lightning round here to get to know Joe, the guy, the regular guy in Sussex County. So MLB team, favorite baseball team?
I grew up a Yankees fan, Staten Island, New York. Yeah.
Okay, very nice. Same here. Big Yankee fan. Not expecting a lot out of this team here. I think George is probably rolling around in his grave as to what his son has done with this franchise. Not looking forward to another season of mediocre. We'll win 90 games and then get eliminated maybe in the wild card round or something.
Well, the spirit of New York is dead. That's why. I mean, the spirit of New York is dead. And that spirit carries on through the teams.
Yeah, it's, again, I mean, while the Yankees will celebrate the 30th anniversary this summer of the '96 championship, which is one of my favorite Yankee titles, to be honest with you. I remember going to the parade. It was a great team, top to bottom.
It was a winner team, man.
Yeah, not expecting much out of the Yankees this year, but who knows? They could surprise you. NFL team.
Grew up a Giants fan.
Okay. Favorite Giant?
I remember when they won the World Series back in was it 87 or it was 86, right? When the Giants went to the series, not the World Series, the Super Bowl. Remember when the Giants went to the Super Bowl back in 80? Was it 87?
86. Yep. 86.
Yeah, that was a big deal when I was a kid, man. I remember that. That was a big deal.
Yeah. A favorite Giant all time.
No, I can't place one.
Okay. I mean, I'm a big Cowboy fan, so going to the Cowboy Giant games are always entertaining at MetLife because it's almost always a home game for us. It's like literally half the stadium's all Cowboy fans. It's a fascinating.
The Cowboy fans are fanatics. They're like they're the version of the the British. They have the Millwall, the soccer hooligans.
Yep.
Cowboys fans.
Yeah,
the Eagles. They'll follow them all over the world and riot.
Yeah, they travel. I mean, again, Cowboy fans travel well all across the country, but here in MetLife, I mean, again, it's like a penitentiary in that building. It's so just ugly to be at.
Never changed it from Giant Stadium. It should always
no, I feel you on that. Hockey team at all?
No, I'm not a hockey guy. No.
I get NBA.
No, not a basketball guy.
College basketball. Your alma mater is?
Oh, I went to Syracuse for my master's and my MBA. And then my bachelor's was at CUNY, City University of New York.
Okay, so listen, Syracuse, the Cuse is always that dangerous team.
Yeah.
Come March, so they're always a team to watch out for.
Yeah.
Now I hate to put you on the spot because there's so many great municipalities in Sussex County, but favorite cuisine and favorite restaurant in Sussex County?
The Hideaway in Stillwater. So I live in a little town called Stillwater.
Okay.
This is it's the safest town in New Jersey. I mean, there's like no crime here. The neighbors all help each other. We're very rural. We shoot our guns in the backyard. We hunt. We take care of each other. Great town. One of the best towns in America. And there's a restaurant here in Stillwater called The Hideaway, and it is like world class. I'll definitely promote The Hideaway. It's worth the drive to come out here and go to The Hideaway. Fantastic bar, fantastic service, and the owner. I'm sorry, the chef is spent 22 years in an Italian restaurant. Great cuisine.
Okay. Favorite American president and why?
Washington. And because he was able to, it wasn't just that he was the first president. Washington had the vision and the foresight that I believe that none of the other presidents could surpass. I think Washington would have been a great president any time in history that he was there. And then I would say as a distant second, Theodore Roosevelt.
I was just about to say my favorite American president is Teddy Roosevelt, a great Republican, a great statesman, just a great president. And I think really helped navigate the country through a very difficult time. I think people forget about Teddy Roosevelt's contributions. And there's a reason why he's on Mount Rushmore. It's as simple as that.
Oh, yeah.
That's always my answer to everybody. But, well, he's up there for a reason. A great American president.
He took America from the Gilded Age and made it a world power.
Correct. Joe, before I let you go, man, I want to thank you for your time. You have been such a wealth of information. I certainly applaud all the great work you're doing in Sussex County as the county chair there. Again, a very tough job for any chair, but you've gotten to work. You rolled up your sleeves. You're doing the work, and you're keeping – to be honest with you, you're trying to keep Sussex County from being infiltrated from these crazy progressives. Listen, I live here in Hudson County. Believe me, and I'm going to talk about it during final thoughts in just a few moments about this outcry and this – opposition to ICE in our communities. There were ICE operations in Hoboken and in the Jersey Heights yesterday that everyone's menstrual about. And I'm going to talk about it in a moment, but it just seems like progressives are multiplying like cockroaches in New Jersey. It doesn't seem like they're penetrating Sussex County, but I know they're trying, and I know you're doing a good job.
They bring people outside to do little protests on a green, but that's as far as it goes.
No, but you're doing a great job, and I really appreciate your belief in my brand of independent journalism.
Oh, absolutely.
And coming on. I'll give you the last word here tonight on Real Talk.
Thanks for having me on. I got to say, vote Republican. For Republicans out there, keep the faith. Keep the faith. There's always downtimes and there's always up times. Be there ready to jump on things when we have an uptime, and then stand fast when we have a downtime. Be brave.
Joe, you mentioned a book you wrote. Is it on Amazon? Is it an audio book? How can you order it?
Amazon. The Path to Free and Prosperous New Jersey. It's it's a Kindle book, and it's all about how I think we can take back New Jersey.
You know what, folks? Looks like an interesting read. If you're looking to catch up with a new book during these frigid temperatures and you're staying indoors, check it out there.
It's cheap and it's got good reviews.
All right. Well, there is with the author. And of course, my guest tonight, folks, he is the distinguished chairman of the Sussex County Republican Party. Joe LaBarbera joins us live here tonight. Folks, again, special thank you to you, Joe. We appreciate coming on here, supporting Jersey First TV and supporting fearless independent media here with Real Talk. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you again soon here in 2026.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Everybody.
Take care. Bye-bye. Folks, good stuff there with Sussex County Republican Chair Joe LaBarbera here as we hit exactly 6 o'clock on the East Coast here. Folks, if you're just tuning in live, like, comment, and share tonight's episode of Real Talk on all of your social media platforms. It really helps the show grow, and it really helps get the word out about supporting fearless independent media here in New Jersey. Not the establishment media, folks, that we have here in New Jersey, which, garbage sites like NJ Spotlight News, right? Well, not so much since David Cruz got fired. I mean, it's a much better apparatus now. So maybe I'll take it easy on NJ Spotlight News. But whether it's Politico with lazy journalists like Matt Friedman or the Bergen Record with useless journalists like Charles Style, you name it, folks, NJ.com, others, there's no shortage of useless journalists in establishment media. We're not here, folks, on Real Talk with Fernando Uribe. It's your leader for trustworthy journalism. It's always here with Real Talk on Jersey First TV. Folks, again, like, comment, and share. We appreciate your support here of the show on all of your social media platforms. And, of course, it's what you're waiting for. It's time for final thoughts. And, yes, folks, over the weekend, of course, I'm sure you saw on your social media feeds, whether it was parts of New Jersey, but, of course, here in Hudson County and nearby Hoboken, for example, it's been a very rough stretch for the first couple of weeks for the new mayor, Emily Jabbour, who, again, I'm trying to be as nice as possible to her. She inherited a mess from one of the more useless humans in New Jersey politics, Ravi Bala. But I have to give a shout out. No question. I have to give a shout out to Emily Jabbour. And more importantly, folks, I have to give a tremendous round of applause to someone like Joe Quintero. Este huevón que no sirve para nada. That's lazy. Let's be honest. He's just lazy, right? I got to give him credit for getting up on a Sunday to do some actual work, to maybe get up and, expend some energy. Not the usual energy that he expends on a Sunday. For example, just running to the liquor cabinet for his nearest bottle of Jack Daniels, which is that's all he's good for. But again, I want to give a shout out to Joe Quintero for actually expending energy to go see what was going on in Hoboken. And of course, folks, we saw it all over the weekend. We saw it on every social media platform possible, whether it was a Hudson County View. Again, shout out to John Hines, who was really the first to report on this developing story about ICE operations in Hoboken, in the Jersey City Heights. So shout out to the Hudson County View and their editor-in-chief, John Robert Hines, of course, and other outlets in New Jersey. And of course, there were the usual social media platforms like Jersey Talks, Wake Up NJ, also even Hoboken Weekend, who, let's be honest, the majority of the viewers on Hoboken Weekend are some of the most useless people in Hoboken, folks, whether it's like malcontent, old-ass bartenders or other malcontents in Hoboken who always have something to say about what's going on with ICE. Folks, there was no shortage of opinions about what went on just yesterday morning in Hoboken and the Jersey Heights. Now, again, folks, I want to warn you, parental discretion is advised. Some crude language, and I mean, what else is new, folks? Can you think of a more toxic demographic in New Jersey politics than the usual liberal white woman? And you saw it on full display in Hoboken yesterday. If you don't believe me, check this out with some of the language being levied at an ICE agent making an arrest in Hoboken / Jersey City Heights. Let's check this out.
You're not allowed to.
Whoa.
Actually,
Allowed to you are not allowed to.
Whoa.
This is kind of funny. I mean, I'm glad they caught him, but here's what's funny here. Check it out, folks.
No. Separado su pie.
Get your hands off of him.
Again, folks, the typical Karen, cat lady. Like, I could smell the cat piss right through the video. But let's continue on. And by the way, so ladylike. But what else is new with the usual stroller moms and the Karens and the cat ladies in Hoboken who, quite frankly, I mean, if she's married, I'd be shocked. And if you're married, imagine waking up next to some insufferable cat lady like this.
Manos atrás. Número, okay?
Hell no. No, no, no. What's your name?
Giovanni. Giovanni.
What? Cumpleaños?
28 de noviembre. I'm letting you know right now, ma'am, if you get any closer, I want to arrest you too.
Fuck
all right?
you.
All right? So I'm telling you, don't get any closer.
I am allowed to film.
You could.
Yes, honey, you are allowed to film, but to be an insufferable, and I hate to use the word, it's taking every fiber of my being not to use the word I want to use. But if you want to be an insufferable pest, this is what makes your side unlikable. Okay? Yes, you have a right to film, but getting in the face of an ICE agent isn't going to work out well for you. It just isn't. And I know you want to show your street cred to all the stroller moms and the cat ladies and the Karens and all the obese feminists and all the blue-haired, woke warriors in Hudson County. I get it, but again, let ICE agents do their job. That's what they're here to do, enforce federal immigration law, right? But of course, let's continue on. Of course, so ladylike with the language.
Film, but don't get close.
Fuck you.
Okay? That's not nice. That's not,
Fuck, are you shitting me?
that's not nice. Come on.
No, it's not nice, but of course, you would think that this half-wit, who's like 2 steps short of a retard, would know how to act like a lady, but that's asking a lot of women in Hoboken. If you've been in Hoboken as long as I have, you'll know that it shouldn't shock you folks to see unladylike behavior like this, but continue.
Be a human being.
You be a human being. Are you swear to God?
Smile, go get a job. Go home.
I love that. Go get a job. Like, honey, go work. Go do something productive on a Sunday. I mean, maybe you go to ShopRite and buying, 3 pounds of kitty litter for your 7 cats. I don't know. But I love that line. Go get a job. I loved it.
I'm on my way to work.
No, you're not on your way to work. Get out of here. Listen, honey, you're about as much of a workaholic as Joe Quintero. And that's saying something because, like, folks, let's be honest. Okay, when it comes to work, the only work that this guy does, let's be honest, is working his way to the liquor cabinet. Okay, let's be honest about Joe Quintero. But let's continue on.
Jesus Christ. Hell no.
I'm letting you right now. If you come any near me, I'm letting you know.
There you go. Again, folks, it's like the same sufferable behavior. But let's continue on with some of the stuff there. Again, just doing their jobs. Not just random folks. Again, if there's ICE operation, then they're seeing and recognizing certain criminals and that they're doing their job. Let's continue on here. Hold on. Let's continue on. And folks, of course, right after the ICE raid in Hoboken and the Jersey City Heights, it's no surprise, progressive mayors and progressive activists were going to take to social media and they were going to, convey again their message of whatever it is, coddling illegals, which is what happens in sanctuary cities like Hoboken and Jersey City. But let's check out the mayor in Hoboken here as she was looking to inform residents about what happened during the ICE operations.
I know how frightening this information is, and I am deeply upset about everything that's happening right now. This is Hoboken Mayor Emily Jabbour. I'm here outside of the 9th Street Light Rail Station, where earlier today my office received reports of an ICE raid that was happening around the 9th Street Light Rail Station. At this time, we know that several individuals were apprehended both from the train and from the platform area. I want to be clear, Hoboken Police Department was not in any way involved with this. They were not notified in advance.
They don't have to be notified, Mayor. It's federal law. If Immigration and Customs Enforcement wants to go into an American city, they can do that. That's the purpose of federal law. Again, folks, this pandering and this grandstanding, and I don't want to just pick on Mayor Jabbour because there are a lot of mayors that are guilty of this and Democrat politicians at the national level that are guilty of this. Federal law supersedes state law. And isn't it funny? And isn't it funny that during the 4 years of Joe Biden, remember this because I got receipts, okay, by a lot of elected officials, by a lot of classmates that I have that I went to school with or other activists on our social media. All we heard, right, during the 4 years of Joe Biden, when governors like Ron DeSantis and Greg Abbott out of Florida and Texas, respectively, were like, oh, we're trying to fight back against these awful federal policies like, an open border, which we saw tens of millions of illegals flood into the country because Joe Biden was too busy taking a nap every 3 hours. And Kamala Harris was too busy, chuckling like a hyena to pay attention to the border, right? But what do we hear from the establishment media? What do we hear about institutions like academia, right? And others, they're saying, well, states can't dare go against federal law. Oh, they can't do that because, it's federal law. Isn't it interesting when a Democrat's in the White House and it's a Democrat Justice Department, mysteriously these progressive activists want to say, well, states can't really go against federal law. But as soon as a Republican is in the is in the White House and is in office, oh, that's when, state elected officials or states now mysteriously, oh, we have to fight back against federal law. And we see all these activists, right? Like immigration attorneys like Carolina Corbello, useless humans like her, or other useless humans. Take your pick, folks. We see it on our social media feeds. You see it in the collage, whether it's useless journalists like Max Pizarro, David Cruz, Jay Lassiter, I don't know, Dave Van Vliet, Tom Moran, Alan Steinberg, or useless activists in academia like Joe Amaditis, or useless government employees like Maria Rodriguez, or other useless women in New Jersey like Lauren Albrecht or Kayla Burrell. They're all about, oh, now we have to fight back against the federal government. Oh, we have to fight back. Not a peep out of you morons when for 4 years when Joe Biden was asleep and every criminal was flooding into the country, calladito. Not a word out of you idiots. But now that the border is secure, and now that the president of the United States, along with the Department of Homeland Security and ICE, are going into American cities and getting rid of dangerous criminal illegals, now it's a problem. And isn't it funny that there are plenty of operations going on in red states, folks? It's not just blue states. Do you ever hear of the chaos and the buffoonery that you see in states like Minnesota or in New York? Right? No, you don't see that because ICE operations are going on all over the country in all 50 states. But it's the usual cat ladies and blue-haired feminists and obese woke warriors and whatever you want to call it. They're up in arms and being all menstrual, right? Because now all of a sudden you care about federal law. Now you want to fight back against the federal government. Why weren't you doing that during the 4 years of Joe Biden, right? When the federal government was imposing draconian mask mandates during the scamdemic and everything else, not a peep out of you people, but now you care about masks, right? Oh, now you care about that. It's utter, complete bullshit. And again, it's easy to call out because you make it easy for me, whether it's classmates I went to school with, whether it's activists at a local level or state level, whether it's establishment media that carry water for the Democrat Party and for ridiculous progressive policies and politics. Okay, now all of a sudden you have an issue with federal law. But let's continue on with the mayor. I don't want to pick on her. She has a base to appeal to. I get it. But let's continue on.
And we are doing our best to get as much information as possible about what has happened here today. As soon as we started to receive these reports, myself and Councilman Joe Quintero came to this area and had the opportunity.
Yeah, Joe Quintero. I mean, did you wake him up out of bed? I mean, he was probably on his second bottle. But all right, let's continue.
To speak with two witnesses who had been here during the apprehensions.
Again, Mayor, I give you all the credit in the world. You got up, you're the mayor. I get it. You did a great job to go expend energy. The idea that this guy had to expend energy when he's not, expending energy for this, I thought was great. So shout out to Mayor Jabor for expending that energy. And even shout out to Joe, porque, oye, qué milagro, porque tú no trabajas para nada. Tú eres un vago, bro. Tú no sirves para nada. Pero yesterday, you were working. So, Joe, bro, felicidades. Porque tú no sirves para nada. But let's continue.
We understand that there were 3 vehicles, 2 which were unmarked. and there were several apprehensions. We're trying to get more information about who those people were. I've been in touch with both our police chief and our director of public safety for more information about what's happened here today. I've also connected with Congressman Rob Menendez, who's also going to see what clarity he can get on his end about what happened. I know that the information that we've shared here today is frightening and upsetting. And
It's not frightening or upsetting, Mayor. It's federal immigration law. When you allow criminal illegals to flood into the country like we saw for the last 4 years, okay? And let's be fair about it, that your predecessor, Ravi Bala, was no better than a lot of other, like, these progressives said, oh, Hoboken's a safe and welcoming city, and not allowing police officers to work with ICE. And let's be honest, folks, are there plenty of criminal illegals in Hoboken? Probably. It wouldn't shock me in the least. Okay? But enforcing federal immigration law is what it is. Enforcing federal immigration law. Was Emily Jabor and Moms for Action and all these other progressive stroller moms and everything, were they up in arms during the 4 years of Joe Biden? Were they up in arms during the 8 years of Barack Obama when the deporter-in-chief deported more than, I don't know, I think, 9 million people out of the country? But not a peep out of you progressives. But now because Donald Trump is cleaning up the border and cleaning up our cities, now it's a problem. Like, make a decision, right? And again, I don't want to just pick on the mayor because she's just one of a multi-level combination of people that are complicit in this rhetoric and narrative, right? So but let's continue on.
I assure you I am as well. I want to especially assure our immigrant neighbors that we are going to continue to have your back and share all of the verified information that we can. We are also going to share resources here in the captions below so that we can connect you with as many resources as you may need to know your rights and know what information is out there to protect one another. Please know Hoboken is a fair and welcoming city. We are going to continue to look out for one another, and we want to make sure that you have all the resources that you need to feel safe here. We've shared that information in the captions below. Please be sure to share it with your friends and neighbors. We care for one another in Hoboken, and we will be looking out for you.
Mayor, you can care for one another and still allow the federal government to do its job, and that's enforce federal immigration law. Like, it's as simple as that. But again, of course, after the ICE operations, there was an emergency meeting, I think not just in Jersey, but also in Hoboken. Check out this crowd out here. I mean, folks, you can smell the cat piss in the room and the estrogen coming from a lot of the beta males in attendance. Don't take my word for it. Here's some footage for yourself.
Acknowledge that because we are all aligned. What's happening right now in Hoboken is we at every level of government are coming together. And
by the way, can you check out Joe Quintero there? He's like, is that withdrawal, Joe? Like, do you need a drink? Is that what it is? Like, he looks like almost in a panic mode. He's like, oh my God, when can I get a drink? When can I get a drink? When can I get a drink? I mean, bro, you look like serious withdrawal, but again, get some help for that. But let's continue on hearing the narratives in yesterday's meeting.
In the name of safety for this community. And just to take a step back, I want to table set what happened today that led up to being in this room. Because information is power. Incredible and valid information that came to us by witnesses is how this meeting came together. So I started to get word this morning that ICE had appeared in Hoboken and received a video and a photograph, actually from Councilman Ramos, verifying that in fact they were wearing vests that said ICE on them. Now sometimes there's mistakes that have been made, I will say, in recent weeks. People have seen police and it's been folded, it wasn't actually a credible sighting. Every time you reach out to me, my office, or any of us, we verify that information with the police chief and our director of public safety. So number one, don't hesitate to reach out. Please contact us. If you are concerned about something you are seeing, send it to us. Once we saw the photographs, I contacted our police chief and our director of public safety to ask if they had been made aware of any ICE appearances locally. They had not been notified of this. I then went on scene with Councilman Quintero and we spoke to 2 witnesses from Seoul who were part of a rapid response team. And one of the things you can do today is sign up to be part of the rapid response efforts. Because having the information that was generated from witnesses on scene.
No. Let's continue on. My apologies there, folks. We'll get to the usual there.
Tell us, how many cars were there? Were they marked? How many people were taken? It helps us figure out what's going on and to share that information with our federal representatives so they can help us get clarity. I've already been in touch with Congressman Menendez's office. We're reaching out to both of our senators. We are going to bring all the resources to bear to find out what's happening. I want to tell you there were at least 3 cars.
Mayor, I'll tell you what's happening. The federal government is enforcing federal immigration law. I don't know what's so difficult to understand about that. And again, for everybody that, again, and you can just smell the cat piss in that room right there. Okay, you can just smell it. You can hear the estrogen coming out of the voices of all the beta males there. It's embarrassing, actually, right? And I get it. They all mobilize well on a Sunday afternoon. No Super Bowl to watch, nothing. So nothing really much to do other than watch the NBA or watch a replay of the WWE Royal Rumble, whatever the case may be. So sure, it was easy for the usual woke warriors and the cat ladies and the stroller moms to congregate in Hoboken, to fight against ICE. Yes. How courageous. Well, let's continue on there.
2 of those cars were unmarked cars. They detained several people.
Yes, Mayor, because do you want the cars to be marked ICE? Like, do you want neon lights? Do you want, I don't know, like bullhorns and I don't know, like some sort of float to be hooked onto the back of cars? Like if you're trying to engage in operations in a covert manner, you have to kind of do it. Again, folks, this is underground. This is undercover work 101 here. But again, I don't want to insulting intelligence here, but you want to be covert about this, folks. I mean, it's not rocket science here, but let's continue. And by the way, check out Robbie Balla's face. Folks, is there, I mean, never mind the damage he did for 8 years, but is there a bigger cara de come mierda that out there than Robbie Balla? And mind you, there's a whole line there. You can see Joe Quintero there and the rest of the Lollipop Guild there in Hoboken, but let's listen to the mayor pontificate here.
We don't know how many. We know at least 2 of the people who are detained work for local Hoboken businesses.
Okay, oh well, and if they're here illegally, so well. That's life, folks. I mean, if you're here illegally, you're going to get deported. It's as simple as that. It's not rocket science. It's not calculus. It's not AP trigonometry or AP physics or AP, chemistry or biology, which I'm sure many of you didn't pass anyway if you're progressive because you don't know how many genders there are. But never mind that point. That's a topic for another day. Again, folks, it's following federal immigration law. It's as simple as that.
Because I've heard from those business owners because they are terrified for what's happened to the people they care about, who are part of their community, and they are part of our.
Oh, give me a break. The business owners at Hoboken, que paquete de mierda. Give me a break. If they're hiring illegals, folks, again, you're making those choices. Those are your consequences. Okay, spare me the sanctimony and this moral outrage about business owners in Hoboken. I mean, give me a break. Who's buying this bullshit? I know all the people in that room are because, they eat up, they're eating this bullshit up like seals waiting for fish at the circus. They're like, waiting for someone to dangle a fish in front of them. But let's continue.
Community. And we are going to do everything we can to help the family members and the people who have been disconnected from their loved ones now that we have that information. We are going to continue to create efforts. We're going to put it out there on social media to tell you how you can help those people. Because we don't know where they're going. We don't know how long they'll be gone for. We have to continue to help get resources out to each other. So please, thank you for being here today, but please continue to spread this word with your neighbors. We're going to need all hands on deck to make sure.
Uh-oh, the prom queen. There's Katie Brennan there. I'm sure a show and tell project. There we go.
We're all looking out for each other. That's what Hoboken is about. We look out for our neighbors in this town. That's why it's a special place.
Jesus Christ, Ruben. I'm a Rutgers alum. Please, come on. Take off the hoodie there. Come on, stop. You're not representing us Rutgers alum there, rocking that in the middle of all that virtue signaling there. Come on, man. Do better. Come on.
Just reiterate. 1, make sure you have your emergency contact information memorized. In these instances, people don't necessarily have the ability to get their phone out and contact a loved one. Please urge people to make sure they have someone's number memorized. Please know that if you're on private property and ICE appears at your door, you don't have to answer the door unless they have a warrant. You have the right to stay.
Again, folks, they don't need a warrant. There's an order of deportation. That suffices. Again, stop rewriting the law, Mayor, as well as everybody else there. You would think someone like Robbie Balla, who I don't even know how he passed law school, or Joe Quintero for that matter, but you would think that they would know that. But again, I mean, when you want a virtue signal, who cares about the facts?
Inside your private property, and you do not have to answer that door. And please know that if you are detained, you do not have to speak to them. You do not have to share information. You have the right to remain silent. please, if you need any resources, if you've heard of someone who's been confronted, if a family's been affected, not necessarily today, but any other incident, Hoboken has an Office of Constituent Services. Nora is amazing. We have a number of resources available. Please.
Nora? Who's Nora? Like, is she even awake? I mean, really? Okay.
Please don't hesitate to reach out to me, no matter DM, email, anything. Please don't hesitate. We are going to be with you. We're going to have your backs, and we're going to do this together. Thank you for showing up today.
Well, folks, again, I apologize. Those are about 3 minutes of your life you're never getting back. But you get the picture here, right? About the amount of virtue signaling we saw yesterday in Hoboken. Again, folks, listen, I don't know what side of the aisle you're on this issue, but you know where I'm at, okay? It doesn't make me a bigot. It doesn't make me a xenophobe. It doesn't make me a racist or anything else. Folks, I just want the law followed. And it's very simple, as I said before. If you're here illegally, that has consequences. It's as simple as that. Okay? We have borders for a reason. Folks, there's a reason why in the Constitution, it's the legislature's job to enforce our borders, to preserve our sovereignty. That's also a responsibility of the executive branch as well. It's amazing to me for a lot of you out there that maybe you slept through history class or you slept through high school civics, whatever the case may be, whether you took it in high school or you took it in undergrad or even grad school. Okay? Federal immigration law is there for a reason. Okay? A country without borders is no country at all. There's a reason why we have to preserve sovereignty. Now, don't tell that to all the virtue signalers in that room because they don't want to hear that. Because they'd rather pontificate and grandstand and bloviate because all they care about is sticking it to the president, Republicans, or defenders of law enforcement. I mean, again, if that's the side of the aisle you want to be on, I mean, again, I want nothing to do with you. Okay? I'm all about following the law. I'm all about making sure the laws are enforced. And by the way, since you're all about stats and you're all about safety in our communities, folks, have you seen the crime rate on a national level? You want to know what you attributed that to? Yes. ICE going into cities, getting rid of dangerous criminal illegals. Are there still dangerous criminals? Of course, we see that with the amount of Americans getting killed by illegal immigrants. Okay? And that matters. Following federal immigration law is what matters. Yes, and I get it, and I hear the sob story and boo-hoo. Oh, I get all the ñoñería about, well, sometimes, there's some good people picked up. Oh, you know what? I don't know what to tell you. Shit happens, folks. Life isn't fair. Whoever told you it was fair was full of shit. Life isn't fair. But the purpose of enforcing federal immigration law is to preserve our borders. Simple as that. You want to be here illegally, you're breaking the law. It's as simple as that. I don't know what to tell you. But when you see virtue signaling like this on steroids, it's alarming. And look no further than when you comment on social media. Hey, take your pick, folks, whether it's pages like Hoboken Weekend, which, by the way, does a good service, but then you have the usual dimwits and people, 2 steps short of a retard opining on social media on a regular basis. Disgruntled, old-looking bartenders, local virtue signalers, you name it, folks. There's no shortage of them. Or on NJ.com or other people that opine on social media pages. There's no shortage, folks, of virtue signalers and the selective moral outrage. Hey, folks, I'm tired of it. Aren't you? I know many of you are. You reach out to me. And folks, again, it's a reason why people tune into this show, because I tell you the truth. I tell you the information you need to hear. I'm not here to coddle you. I'm not here to hold your hand. Folks, life isn't fair. Life sucks. You have to take the good with the bad. And guess what, folks? No system is perfect. So to all the clowns out there talking about defunding ICE or abolish ICE, well, what do you want to do instead? These are the same idiots 6 summers ago that were all about, abolish the police, defund the police. Yeah, how'd that work out for you? Okay? It's these type of virtue signalers that, again, remind us of how insufferable they are. It's as simple as that. Okay? You've seen the footage, folks. I don't have to show it to you again. You know what it is. Plenty of grandstanding politicians were out in full force yesterday. Like I said, shout out to Emily Jabor. A tough couple of weeks here on the job. You had a blizzard to deal with in a densely populated city like Hoboken, right? You have to deal with snow removal. That's difficult. So, again, I can call balls and strikes fairly on this show, folks. So, again, shout out to her doing the best job she possibly can to make sure that you remove as much snow as possible in Hoboken. All right, where parking already is a nuisance. I can only imagine how bad it's been since the snow accumulation. So shout out to her. She got, on a Sunday, I'm sure she was home comfortably in frigid temperatures. She got up, went to do her job, went to go report on what's going on. Great. She woke up Joe Quintero, who, let's be honest, that was probably the most energy that he expended all day Sunday, other than, running to the liquor cabinet, because that's all Joe does. Right? So shout out to them for going out there and virtue signaling. They need to do that for their base because that's all they want to do. Let's be honest, folks, that's all they're good for. Stick to governing. Stick to getting property taxes down, Emily. Don't worry about bullshit like pronouns. Worry about property taxes and public safety. This is part of public safety. You should be happy about this. But instead, you'd rather virtue signal to remove cat ladies and stroller moms and the rest of the insufferable woke crowd. It seems to be, I guess, infesting Hoboken for some time. So, again, congratulations. You went to do some work. You got Joe Quintero to get off his ass and do some work. And again, shout out to Joe, man. I'm sure burning all that energy off, all the alcohol in your system. I'm sure running around like you did yesterday. I'm sure they did a pretty good job. So, again, I'm glad you burned off some calories. You sure needed it. But again, folks, when it comes to virtue signaling about federal immigration law and ICE, look no further, folks, than some of the ladies in Hoboken, especially the ones you saw on video. Such ladylike behavior. Imagine being married to that. I can't. Oof. And those are my final thoughts. Folks, a special comment, of course. And yeah, listen, there's no shortage of the virtue signaling that we saw yesterday in Hoboken. My God. God help us. Special comment, folks. It is 1 year later, and I just have to say, what a treat to know that Uncle Ron Zentlinger, the former editor-in-chief of the Jersey Journal, who, let's be honest, folks, it broke my heart to see the Jersey Journal close after over 100 years. But when you have inept people like Ron Zentlinger running into the ground, it shouldn't shock you to see the Jersey Journal go extinct. Speaking about going extinct, of course, we saw that last year also with the removal of the print edition of the Star Ledger. And of course, cutbacks also forced the Star Ledger and NJ.com to lay off people like Tom Moran, who, again, continues to be as useless a journalist as there ever have been. So again, 1 year later, happy anniversary to the unemployment of Ron Zentlinger and Tom Moran, who every time I think of Tom Moran and Ron Zentlinger, folks, look no further. The best way to describe them, of course.
No. You're still a loser. Clown show. You're a Mets fan. Clown show. Clown show. Clown show. Clown show. Clown show. Clown show. It's a clown show.
Yes, folks. And again, a year later, happy anniversary to your unemployment, to Tom Moran and Ron Zentlinger. Good riddance. Que se vaya pa'l carajo porque tú no sirves para nada. 1 year later, you're still as useless as you were in 2025. And that's my special comment. Folks, before we call it a night, I want to thank everybody once again for another successful month for Real Talk. 95,000 views, all organic here on the show. Again, I can't thank you enough, whether you watch the show live, seeing a nice amount of live views right now, or you share the replays. I want to thank all of you for making Real Talk with Fernando Uribe not just a part of your Monday night viewing ritual, but for continuing to support the leader in fearless independent journalism. Folks, it's always Real Talk here with Jersey First TV. And I know for all the haters, and we got some classmates, and we got some of the, the local obese feminists and the cat ladies and the woke fools and the social justice clowns and all the insufferable feminists. Again, You might want to go to Walgreens. You might want to go to CVS and get a little ointment for that burn, because guess what, folks? Real Talk continues to thrive and succeed. And despite efforts to cancel me, demonetize me, guess what? I'm still here. And this isn't a prediction. It's actually a spoiler. Fernando Uribe isn't going anywhere. So if you haven't gotten used to that yet, what's it going to take, folks? Because when we think about fearless independent media, and we think about greatness, and we think about the generational talent in Garden State Media, folks, it's one name. It's very simple. It's Fernando Uribe. Folks, I don't want to go petition Webster's Dictionary to start rewriting definitions, but when you look up greatness, it's Fernando Uribe. Folks, that's our show for this week. Once again, I want to thank Sussex County Chairman of the Republican Party there in Sussex County, Joe LaBarbera, for a wonderful conversation tonight. Again, if you missed any part of the broadcast, like, comment, and share tonight's episode. Of course, make sure you follow us on Instagram and X, like us on Facebook, and of course, follow us on YouTube, subscribe to us, and of course, whether you get your podcast on Spotify or SoundCloud, download Jersey First and take us with you. Whether you're walking your dog, food shopping, whatever it is you're doing. You probably have your smartphone, your tablet on you. Do me a favor, folks. Join us and support fearless independent media here with Real Talk via Jersey First TV. And folks, I always say it all the time, here leading the way, educating, navigating for the residents here in the great state of New Jersey. It's always Jersey First TV and Real Talk live episodes every Monday night here on the broadcast. Again, I can't say enough. Help the show grow, like, comment, and share. And once again, show your support for fearless independent media, courtesy of Real Talk with Fernando Uribe here on Jersey First TV. And always remember, folks, if it's unbiased, unfiltered, and unafraid, it's Real Talk here on the Jersey First Television Network. I am the generational talent in Garden State Media, and of course, your leader for trustworthy journalism. That's right, folks. It's Fernando Uribe. Enjoy the rest of your week. Please stay warm, and we're getting a little bit warmer temperatures, folks, but it's still cold. Look after your elderly neighbors. Look after your kids. Folks, again, be careful driving in the mornings, crosswalks. Let's make sure our kids get to school safely and get home safely from school. So please drive responsibly. Again, folks, enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the Super Bowl 60 emanating from Santa Clara this Sunday. Not really sure, but I'd like to see the Seahawks win. We've seen enough of the Patriots win already. I think Seahawks 24-21. That's my pick for this Sunday for Super Bowl 60 on NBC. Folks, again, please party responsibly, and we'll see you next Monday night here on the leader for trustworthy journalism, folks. It's Real Talk via Jersey First TV. Folks, thanks for stopping by. And always remember, stay classy, everyone.